Ladies and gentlemen, this story is far from over. Just when the internet started to settle, just when people thought the Young Dolph investigation was cooling down, a brand new wave of accusations has blown the lid wide open again. Claims from insiders, associates, and voices who say they've held the truth for years. And now, they're finally speaking up, pointing fingers, dropping alleged connections, and reopening old wounds that Memphis has never fully healed from. And because of that pressure, Gotti and Blac Youngsta are officially responding. Yes, after years of staying quiet. Letting lawyers handle their names, letting the case move forward without them speaking publicly. Both of these CMG heavyweights are stepping into the conversation. Whether it's through their music, their social media moves, their public appearances, or the subtle messages they send without ever saying a direct name. The responses are here, and they're causing waves. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. The new claims being made. They aren't small. They're not random fan theories. These are claims suggesting deeper motives, secret alliances, questionable decisions, the chain of events that may not be as simple as the police reports make it seem. Claims suggesting the story has layers most people haven't even heard yet. And the way Gotti and Youngsta respond, the tone, the timing, the energy, it adds new tension to a city already divided. It raises new questions about what's real, what's rumor, and what's still hidden beneath the surface. The new wave of claims didn't come quietly. It wasn't a slow burn. It hit the internet like lightning, unexpected, explosive, and impossible to ignore. Everything started when several individuals, allegedly connected to people around the original case, began making statements online. Some were subtle, some were direct, but all of them carried the same energy. There's more to the Young Dolph situation than the public knows. One particular claim suggested that Young Dolph's movements in the weeks before his death were being watched more closely than anyone realized. Another claim described certain individuals allegedly having inside knowledge of Dolph's routines, knowledge that raised eyebrows as soon as it was posted. A third source spoke about tensions between different groups in Memphis reaching a boiling point long before the tragedy at Makeda's Bakery. What made these claims hit so hard is that none of them pointed directly at Gotti or Blac Youngsta, but the internet connected the dots instantly. Fans, bloggers, and online investigators immediately linked the statements to the long-standing history between Dolph and CMG, a history filled with diss tracks, street rumors, label tensions, drive-by allegations, and years of Memphis rivalry. People started reposting clips from old interviews. Old tweets resurfaced. Diss tracks from both sides were suddenly trending again. And as always happens, the story began to shift from facts to theories to full-blown narratives, but the new claims didn't stop at social media. A podcast episode featuring a guest who claimed to have indirect ties to the streets went viral after he hinted that bigger names might have had reasons to feel threatened by Dolph's independence and rising power. He didn't name anyone, but everyone knew who the internet would target. And that's exactly what happened within hours. Gotti's name was trending. Blac Youngsta's name was trending. CMG was trending. The pressure started building fast, almost as fast as the story itself was spreading. Meanwhile, people close to Dolph, family members, old business partners, associates, were watching from the sidelines. Some spoke up, some stayed silent. But the energy online was clear. Something big was happening. Which brings us to the moment where Gotti and Blac Youngsta finally felt the need to break their silence. Not with direct statements, not with press conferences, but in ways that made the entire situation even more dramatic. And it all starts with Gotti's strategic, calculated response. Gotti has always moved like a businessman first and an artist second, quiet, strategic, deliberate. That's why when the new wave of allegations started picking up steam, most people didn't expect him to jump online and start ranting. He's not that type of figure. He doesn't react emotionally. He reacts with precision. So when Gotti responded, he responded in the most Gotti way possible. Subtle, smooth, and yet loud enough for the entire industry to notice. His first move was a social media post, not a statement, not a denial, not a direct address, but a message about discipline, success, and the cost of staying focused when people try to pull you into chaos. The post had no names attached, but the timing said everything. Fans immediately commented things like, "Talking about the Dolph claims, clearing your name. We know what this is about." But Gotti ignored the comments entirely. No engagement, no replies, no back and forth, just the post. Then, a few days later, he appeared in a radio interview in Atlanta. The host tried to tiptoe around the issue, asking about internet rumors and recent stories involving Memphis. Gotti didn't flinch. He leaned back, smiled, and said a line that instantly went viral. People say anything when they don't know the truth. He didn't elaborate, but he didn't have to. The tone, the confidence, the control, it sent a message loud and clear. Gotti was positioning himself as someone above the drama, someone unaffected by the noise, someone who sees the rumors as desperation, not truth. But then came the part that really stirred the pot. Gotti started speaking about Dolph, respectfully. He talked about how tragic the loss was, how much it affected Memphis, how beef is part of rap, but death is something entirely different. And when the host asked if he had anything to do with the situation, Gotti shook his head and said, "Come on, man. Y'all know better than that." Some people believed him. Others said he was deflecting. But everyone agreed on one thing. His response was polished, intentional, and designed to calm the narrative. Yet the internet doesn't calm easily, especially when Blac Youngsta enters the conversation. Where Yo Gotti is calm and collected, Blac Youngsta is the firecracker, emotional, loud, raw. The complete opposite. And when the new claims surfaced, Youngsta didn't hide behind cryptic messages or business-like statements. He confronted the drama. Head dash on dot, his first response came through a series of Instagram stories, videos of him speaking directly to the camera, pacing back and forth in a studio. Clearly frustrated by the accusations floating around, he didn't mention Young Dolph by name. He didn't mention the claims directly, but he made his message very clear. Y'all love playing with my name. Y'all love creating stories. Y'all love spreading lies. But ain't nobody got the heart to say it to me directly. Nobody got the heart to say it to me directly. His energy was intense, almost too intense, and that raised new questions. Some fans said he looked fed up. Others said he looked like someone who's tired of carrying a narrative he never asked for. Youngsta has always had a complicated relationship with the Dolph situation, especially after that controversial music video he filmed near a memorial. That incident alone damaged his public image for years. So now, these new claims resurfacing, Youngsta felt the pressure all over again. A few days later, he doubled down. During a performance, he paused mid-song, looked out at the crowd, and said, "I've been innocent, still innocent, forever innocent. Stop playing with me." The crowd erupted, but the internet wasn't convinced. Some said he was guilty conscious. Others said he was simply hurt, frustrated that his name has been attached to a story he says has nothing to do with him. But one thing was undeniable. Youngsta's response reignited the controversy. His emotional delivery clashed with Gotti's calm approach. And that contrast fueled a new wave of debates. People asked, why does Youngsta seem so angry? Why does Gotti seem so relaxed? Is there tension inside CMG? The theories grew louder. Memphis began buzzing again, and the backlash grew stronger. As soon as Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta responded, the internet exploded with reactions, and they weren't pretty to tubers. Bloggers, podcasts, and fan pages all jumped into the discussion, breaking down body language, tone, timing, symbolism, and every tiny detail in their responses. Some people praised Gotti for sounding mature and steady. Others accused him of sounding too calm for a man being accused of something this serious. Meanwhile, Blac Youngsta's reaction ignited even more controversy. His emotional ranting, combined with the history he shared with Dolph, made some viewers claim he was triggered, while others insisted he was simply tired of being dragged into conversations he believes are unfair. But the real chaos came from the street rumors. Longtime Memphis residents, neighborhood voices, and old associates from both sides began speaking up online. Some defended CMG, others fueled the suspicion. A few said the new claims were late-night cloud chasing. But a handful of voices insisted that the streets always knew there was more to the story. All of this created a massive, messy, contradictory storm. The narrative kept changing. One day, people said Gotti looked guilty. The next day, they said Youngsta looked innocent. Then, 24 hours later, someone would upload a new theory, and the entire conversation flipped again. Even worse, old interviews and videos from Dolph resurfaced, sparking emotional reactions from fans who felt the pain all over again. And then there were the contradictions inside the new claims themselves, timelines that didn't match, witnesses who contradicted each other, claims without evidence, and accusations made purely off speculation. But none of that stopped the story from growing, because when it comes to Young Dolph, the internet doesn't let anything go. With every new claim, every new response, and every new online argument, one thing becomes clear. The Young Dolph story is never going to fully fade. Not because of drama, not because of rumors, but because of the impact Dolph had on Memphis, on independent artists, on the rap game, and on the people who knew him personally. This case isn't just a crime story. It's a cultural wound. And the responses from Yo, Gotti, and Blac Youngsta only highlight how deep that wound still is. On one side, you have CMG, a powerful label that wants to distance itself from negativity, protect its brand, and move forward in business. On the other side, you have fans, family, and the streets who believe there are still unanswered questions. And in the middle, the legacy of Young Dolph, a man who built himself from the ground up, stayed independent, and inspired countless people. The reason this story refuses to die is because it's more than a tragedy. It's a symbol of rivalry, success, jealousy, fear, power, influence, and the complicated politics of the music industry. Every time new claims appear, emotions flare up. Every time Gotti responds, narratives shift. Every time Youngsta speaks, the conversation explodes. Every time new videos surface, people relive the pain. And with no final answers, no complete closure, the story keeps breathing. What we're witnessing now is the ongoing battle between the official narrative, the street narrative, and the internet narrative. And that battle, it's far from over. Before we wrap this up, I want to talk directly to y'all, the viewers, the subscribers, people who've been locked into this situation from the very beginning. Because this story is one of the most emotional, complex, and controversial cases in modern hip-hop history. And every time new information comes out, it shakes the entire community all over again. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Yo Gotti handled the situation the right way by staying calm, staying focused, and letting the rumors burn out on their own? Or do you think Blac Youngsta had the more honest response, raw emotion, frustration, and the urge to defend himself from accusations that never seem to go away? And most importantly, do you believe these new claims have any truth to them? Are these insiders revealing real information? Or is this just another episode of internet exaggeration? Drop your thoughts, theories, and reactions in the comments. I read everything, and your input shapes what I break down next. And if y'all want a deeper dive into these new claims, the people behind them, and how the streets of Memphis are reacting right now, just let me know and I'll get that video out ASAP. But before you go, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because if history has shown us anything, it's that this story is not slowing down. Every week there's a new twist, a new rumor, a new piece of the puzzle. And when it drops, you already know I'll be here breaking it down piece by piece. Down piece by piece.